And Scott away from his marker again here, and that's a lovely ball, and Mark West has scored. A magnificent goal. It's 2-1 to Wycombe Wanderers.
So Bert Millichip hands it over to Clint Creaser, and the FA Trophy belongs to Wycombe Wanderers.
Since walking through the doors of Wycombe Wanderers after his appointment as manager in February 1990, Martin O'Neill has led the club to an unprecedented run of success. A bulging trophy cabinet pays tribute to his work, and that of all the directors, staff and players. But even 2 Wembley successes and the lifting of the Vauxhall Conference title pale into insignificance alongside the story of the 1993-94 season. This is the story of that season, Wycombe's historic initial taste of life in the Football League, from the very first kick to the last, through the eyes of the man who engineered it all, a man who only knows one way, and that is up. Well, Martin, that's what it's all about.
Very pleased, John. Pleased to have finished 4th in the league, actually 4th, and got a cup for it. But in all seriousness, it's been a terrific season. Nice to end at Wembley, and as you say, that's what it's all about.
When you started the season, I think you were obviously apprehensive, but were you scared?
No, I wasn't scared. I think that we never had any other thought in our heads in the dressing room other than trying to get promotion at the first attempt. First of all, we're all getting on in age. I'm getting on. The players are certainly not getting any younger. And we felt that if Barnet could give it a shake-up in their first season, although I think they got into the promotional playoff position, well, why could we not go one better? And we knew that we were a bit apprehensive about it. The pace of the game, I knew the players were going to have to try and get used to that pretty quickly. The Carlisle game was hard, very, very hard, but we weren't scared.
This is Alan Hutchinson for Ringing the Blues. Fixture speculation is over. Wycombe face a 600-mile round trip to Carlisle for their Open Football League baptism. What Blues fan would dare miss Saturday, August the 14th, a milestone in the life of Wycombe Wanderers?
Well, whatever apprehensions there might have been, in fact, you made a flying start, unbeaten in the first month, and you managed to score in every game.
Yeah, I think that's what set us up for the whole season, John. The apprehension left us after Carlisle. Great effort there. It was a terrific atmosphere, all the types of thing that you expect from the beginning of the season. Big crowd. Not only did Carlisle bring a big crowd, but we brought a monstrous support. And that helped us carry us through. And I know that goals that were being scored then, if we could maintain that for a little while, players' confidence would be reasonably high. Our problem has been here since I've been manager, is trying to keep them out at the other end for most of the time.
to Wycombe 2. Wycombe were within some 5 minutes of a victory in their first league appearance. They were ahead through a Chris Curran own goal and Stephen Guppy after 76 minutes, but a Chris Curran goal, making up for his earlier indiscretion, gave Carlisle a share of the points and denied Wycombe a full-scale celebration today.
We managed 2 great results against Leyton Orient in the Coca-Cola. Especially the first match, where this was a game, it was only our second match in the Football League, first one against opposition in a higher league, and we went to Orient. You know, we certainly weren't apprehensive about that, looking forward to that. They were on a hiding to nothing because we were the underdogs in the game. We've come away with a fantastic victory there, and I honestly think the following Saturday against Chester City, even though it wasn't a pretty game to watch, we won. We scrambled home 1-0 in that particular game, and we thought, hey, this is not so bad. Chester City had been demoted the previous season, so they had had experience of the previous league. So had Leyton Orient, or the higher league, and all in all, we were in a half-decent position.
You made a signing at the end of August that most people thought was just, well, a temporary thing, a loan signing, Terry Evans. Turned out to be the buy of the season.
Well, it turned out to be the buy of the season. I'd love to take fantastic credit for that, and eventually I will do. But that's not how it happened, believe it or not. I'd seen his name was being bandied around in the little list that you get sent through. He'd had a bit of a fracas with David Webb down at Brentford. His nose was out of joint, as it were, metaphorically, I think literally as well, too, with Terry. And I'd mentioned to Jason, you know, what about the lad? And Jason said, yeah, he's one of my best mates. So if he was a fighting partner with Jason, then I suppose he would do okay. However, so we decided we'll take him on loan, see how things develop. Terry was happy to come down on loan. But the story goes on from there, in the sense that his first real game when he came on against Hereford, Matt Crosley got injured, and Terry came on after about 25 minutes or something like that in the game, caused a foul, and then when the ball came into the penalty box, was whipped in that night, and a great night, he's missed the header and a goal. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not so sure about this boy. The following night, he played in a reserve game against Sutton United. He was absolutely pathetic. He wasn't getting close enough to people, and I thought, I'm not so sure about this. And I turned to Terry and I said to him, Terry, if your loan, this was about 2 weeks into his loan, and I said, Terry, if your loan ended tomorrow, I'd be sending you back. He said, hold on, Gaffer. He says, I'm not fit. He says, I'm like that when I'm not fit. Just give me another week or two and we'll do it. And luckily enough, unfortunately for me, I listened to his advice. He came, I threw him in for his first full game against Coventry City in the Coca-Cola. And from then on, he was just simply magnificent. In fact, he was carrying the side for about 2 or 3 months.
After the signing of Tony Hemmings from Northwich, Victoria for £25,000. We can also report the return to full-time training of Captain Glenn Creaser following a 9-month layoff through injury.
you went into September unbeaten, but inevitably came the first defeat, but that was a disappointing one against Colchester.
It was, yes. Previous matches we had conceded a sloppy late goal against Gillingham, redressed the balance up at Bury, a terrific win. Tony Hemmings coming on as a sub and actually turning the game round for us then. And we just bought him from Northwich Victoria. And then suddenly Colchester arrives, our old rivals, old enemies, and the one thing that we wanted badly against them was just to beat them, regardless of whether it was a league game or not. We actually capitulated. Jason Cousins was sent off. We were very comfortable in the games, and we were leading 1-0 and then 2-1. Jason's got himself sent off very, very harshly, I felt, for a deliberate handball 35 yards from goal, apparently stopping the opposition from getting a goal-scoring chance. Would have to say that Colchester's goal-scoring record this season would have proved that even then it would have been difficult for him to score. But we felt it was a bit harsh, and we capitulated. Everything they hit that day went in. We were beaten 5-2, and it looked a dreadful performance. It wasn't that dreadful, but it knocked us back a bit. There's no doubt about that. The midweek game the following week was against Coventry City, where we got beaten 3-0. In a match I felt that perhaps maybe we had 1 or 2 chances, maybe we could have kept in touch with it. But in terms of league performances, the next Saturday was going to be one of the most vital of the whole season. And it was this. Jason Cousins got himself sent off again, second week in succession, this time absolutely right. It was the most horrendous challenge I think I've seen. He doesn't like to be reminded of it. I'm sure he's going to be. And honestly, I didn't know where to put myself, never mind put him. I would have thrown him into jail if I could have done it. But he upset everyone that particular day. And I just felt then, whatever comes or goes, we could have, the result that day against Doncaster, where we beat them 1-0, Tim Langford scored a terrific goal for us, I felt was our best victory of the season, for the one reason being, the previous Saturday we packed in completely when we lost him from a comfortable position. We could have done exactly the same, and our season in 2 successive Saturdays could have been in tatters so early on. We survived, we played brilliantly, the 10 players got behind each other and they've won the match, and I honestly thought that that was our best victory so far from for our season.
At the Drillfield Northwich, where a lone goal from Keith Scott after just 3 minutes has given Wycombe the Vauxhall Conference Championship shield for a record 3rd consecutive season. With a large number of Football League scouts in attendance, Keith Scott could be the target of transfer speculation very soon. This is Alan Hutchinson for Ringing the Blues.
So you entered October in slight turmoil, in the sense that Jason Cousins had these 2 indiscretions. There were calls all over for him to be sacked and everything, but in fact you took a brave decision. You brought him back for the Coventry game. I
did, John. I brought him back, yeah. There was an awful lot of letters coming in saying that he should be sacked from people who generally don't know anyway, or don't have any sort of feeling about the thing. I'd like to think that people deserve more than one chance in life. And this, in his footballing career, he was at a crossroads himself. It was really up to him. If he wanted to continue this sort of behaviour, then he wouldn't last in the Football League, never mind lasting at Wycombe Wanderers Football Club. And but I took the decision to bring him back because, primarily, I wanted to win the game. I wanted to win the match. And Jason Cousins in the side, firing on all cylinders properly, would be an asset to the football club. And I felt, I was maybe in the minority in this, I felt that we had a chance of winning the tie. I know that we were 3-0 behind from the first game. We're playing a Premier League team, but just on the evening, I felt that we had a chance. Especially if we could get a goal, we get the first goal in the game, we've got a chance.
Back to Cousins now for Wycombe. Inside the high Retin. Lays it across field to Crosley. Still with Crosley. Ryan has a shot. Oh, it's a brilliant goal! A brilliant goal for Wycombe Wanderers. Guppy with a corner. In goes Scott. And there, Keith Scott scored the second goal for Wycombe. Hutchinson now for Wycombe. Centres, gets a deflection, up goes Evans. It's there! Wycombe have equalised! Cousins then shoots. It's there. Well, that is Wycombe Wanderers and Jason Cousins. Good shot, good goal. That's a good timely run by Babb for Coventry, who shoots, took a deflection.
I just felt that evening there was even though we had lost the overall tie, just that night I thought I was pretty proud to be Wycombe Wanderers Football Club manager. You know, it was a great night for us. Cousins seemingly had learned from his mistakes. Overall, terrific performance. Terry Evans, Keith Scott, goals following in. It was just a great night for us, John.
Keith Scott started the season well. I think by the end of that month he got 12 goals. Were you afraid at that time that you were going to lose him?
There's always that possibility, of course. There have been a lot of teams looking at a lot of our players over the last couple of seasons. It was a bit of a surprise, really, when it eventually happened in terms of the timing. I don't want to lose any of what I call the players that I feel are capable of making things happen. And no one wants to lose them. In our position, I didn't feel that that we had to lose them. You know, we're doing okay in the money stakes and things like this. We're not exactly broke, and we're making progress. When what I've said to every single player down here, that if someone comes in for them, I would let them know about it. I would see if we can do something to try and keep them at the football club. But if it's completely outside our range, remembering it is a short career, and suddenly someone like Keith Scott who can earn maybe 3 or 4 times his money, it would be unfair to hold him back. If he wanted to stay here and we could try and do something about it, then that situation we would look at. If we can't do anything about that, then we would try and get as much money as we possibly can for him and then start again. And this developed later on.
is Alan Hutchinson with sensational news that leading scorer Keith Scott has signed for Swindon Town in a Wycombe record deal that takes him to the Wiltshire club for £350,000. Martin O'Neill brought Scott to Adams Park for just £30,000 from Lincoln City 3 seasons ago. What effect will this move?
Things were going still reasonably okay in the league. Keith Scott was scoring goals for us, attracting big attention, and the inevitable happened. Swindon Town came in for him. We couldn't do much about it in the sense that we told Keith's eyes lit up when they talk about a Premier League side coming in for him. And I think, as Keith only ever sees pounds, shillings and pence in front of him, this was an opportunity for him to make some money, and an opportunity for him, more importantly actually, to play in the Premier League. And for a lad that we plucked from Lincoln City Reserves, I suppose it was credit to the football club for getting him into that position, but more importantly, credit to Keith for actually getting himself into a position of note. None of us wanted to leave, for him to leave the football club. Sat down with my chairman, we'll try and get as much as we can. Keith said, listen, I want to go. And I think he's always said that. He wanted to go because he was, he was going to be playing Manchester United, Liverpool, and it may never come round again for him. Tony Hemmings took over the mantle early on, and his performance against Crewe the following Saturday was, I honestly believe, the best individual performance that I've seen. And I've seen some great ones. I've seen Steve Guppy perform, I've seen Davy Carroll, I've seen some great defending performances, I've seen Paul Hyde at his greatest, and I thought individually that was the best performance. And against Crewe, he ran them ragged. We had a fantastic win. And just for the moment, the Keith Scott, his departure, was just forgotten about.
Well, Martin, you started December, 4th place in Division 3. You'd lost Keith Scott, but Tony Hemmings certainly came good in those opening games in the month.
He did, yes. He was playing out of his skin, and it was delightful to see him doing so well. He was playing up front, we're just giving him a free role. Our style of football had changed a bit, John, in the sense that we were now inviting teams to come at us a little bit more, and we're trying to hit teams in the break, simply because of the players that we had available. And it was working to a large extent. It wouldn't last the whole season, and I knew that myself, and I think the players did. And Scott's loss, when we started to lose a game or two, and then we knew that things might be difficult for us. But we didn't actually lose our first away game until we got beaten by Chester. That was a big game for us because we should have done better in the match, playing against a stiff breeze in the first half. We've done very, very well. Second half, wouldn't believe it, the wind actually died down. We conceded some terrible goals, and we were beaten against a side who were up there alongside us. We're still making a bit of progress in the Autoglass Trophy. We beat Cardiff City. We'd progressed. We'd beaten Cambridge in a nice victory in the second round of the FA Cup. So progress in the cups were being made, and that was good, and it was keeping our season alive. But most importantly, league matches, we were finding it difficult to score goals regularly.
departed for Swindon, it posed the question, who will score the goals? The answer is Terry Evans, the bargain capture from Brentford, who has scored in 3 successive matches to end 1993 quite brilliantly. We talked to the big man.
Terry Evans was keeping us in things at the back. Not only was he keeping us in touch at the back, but he was actually having a big presence up front as well and for set pieces. He scored against Carlisle. In fact, he almost played Carlisle on his own that particular day. We had a good win just before Christmas, and we played Torquay just after the Christmas break, Boxing Day, down at Torquay. That was a hard game for us. We scrambled a victory. They should have beaten us in the game. Terry Evans got a late equaliser for us, and in all honesty, we should have been dead and buried. But we got something out of the game, and we knew that, I knew all along that, Keith Scott had to be replaced.
So you finished 1993 in 4th position, creditable position that, but you start your busiest month, January.
A lot of games in January. We still had the FA Cup to look forward to. We were still in the Autoglass Trophy. But more importantly, we had some big league matches. If I'd mentioned earlier to you, John, that I felt that in terms of significance, winning against Doncaster was a big highlight for us, for all the effects that it had for us. Then losing against Walsall in January the 1st also was a landmark. We had a bit of a set-to after the game. I think we felt that some players, perhaps maybe all of them, even though they felt that they were doing their best, could have been doing a little bit more. And our next 4 league games, we won the next 4 matches. We'd beat Mansfield on the Tuesday night, and you honestly would have felt in the dressing room that we had won the World Cup. But we had, in a sense, because we had been set a little bit of a target by myself and the chairman, and the possibility of going away for a 4 or 5 day break hinged on us winning this particular game. We had a target of 21 points to get out of a possible 30. We had left ourselves with a lot to do, but by winning the last 4 games, culminating in beating Mansfield that night, we'd actually taken 22 points out of 30, and hence the trip was on. So the lads were looking forward to that. If Cooper never did another thing, which he didn't do at the football club, well, he is forever in the memory of the players because he won a trip for them, and that was terrific news. January ended, I think we might have played Shrewsbury in the last day, or the last week of that, and that was a massive disappointment to us. We lost 1-0. We dominated for long periods in that game against fellow rivals for promotion. Their goalkeeper was in inspired form. I saved one terrific one for Terry Evans from a corner kick just about 10 minutes into the second half, and the inevitable was going to happen. Just when we looked as if a draw was a good result for us, 4 minutes to go, they scored. They beat us, and our 4 victories looked as if they'd counted for nothing because Shrewsbury had won the old proverbial 6-pointer.
Well, Ringing the Blues has news of the 3rd round draw for the FA Cup, and it has paired Wycombe with one of Martin O'Neill's former clubs, Premier League Norwich City. They will visit Adams Park on Saturday the 8th of January.
Significant for me in the fact that my name's always been bandied around for the job at Norwich if anything is becoming available. Mike Walker had decided to pack in there for reasons that were well and truly spread around the newspapers. He wasn't getting on too well with his chairman, and he was going to go to Everton Football Club. I think that was the worst kept secret in football. Unfortunately, I was hoping that he would hold his resignation of Norwich to the following week. I was wanting him to come here because I was wanting the Norwich players to be intimidated by a 3rd division, having to come to a 3rd division club and playing a potentially difficult FA Cup game. As it turns out, they were totally razzed up for the occasion. They played very, very well. Sutton, I think, scored both goals. I mean, he was an extraordinarily good player. And if anything, the leaving of Mike Walker's resignation actually worked in Norwich's favour.
Well, he finished January in 2nd position, but February was a bit of a turbulent month.
Yeah, it certainly was. We started the season, or started February not too badly, and we finished it not too badly. But there's quite a bit of the month that was turbulent, as you say. We'd managed to qualify. We'd beaten Fulham in an epic Autoglass Trophy game down there, but that had repercussions. We'd qualified for the area final. We were close now. We were only 2 games away from a possible trip to Wembley again in our first season. That was terrific news. But we did lose Terry Evans. Evans got injured against Fulham in the first half. He did his medial ligament injury in. And I remember coming in, it was just terrific. We won the game in penalties. I think we did ourselves no end of good at all. There was plenty of significant people watching the game who thought our football was fine. And it was nice, but to come in to see Terry Evans just in complete despair. He was sitting on the table. He'd sat there with just icing on his knee, and we basically feared the worst. And if you'd told me that he wasn't going to kick another ball for us between then and the end of the season, honestly, I think I would have contemplated suicide myself. Anyway, that was going to come up soon enough because we saved our worst performance the following Saturday for Mansfield. We were absolutely pathetic. We got beaten 3-0, and perhaps eventually it could have been 33. And we followed that up with a poorish performance against Wigan. And you talk about the boos, then that's where we started to be booed. I'd always said here in my time that I didn't really want to be around here when we lost 3 consecutive league games. And the first time in my managerial time at Wycombe, in my 4 years, we had lost 3 successive league games. And the reaction, funnily enough, was exactly what I'd anticipated. You know, you don't want to lose too many around here. You don't want to lose too many if you're a football manager anywhere. But we had lost 3. I felt there was plenty of booze going round. We lost the game against Wigan, and I've got to admit, I've got a bit annoyed with it. Now, I felt that we hadn't really deserved this. This was our first year in the Football League. We had performed wonders to get there. We had generally tried to play half-decent football. The first time that we've had to dig in for a week or two, we were found lacking for a while. The old calls of, you haven't replaced Keith Scott, you haven't done this, you haven't done that. Of course we hadn't done a few things. But the fact is, even after we had lost against Wigan, we're still in the top 4. And that I couldn't comprehend. But basically I knew that all it was, if we get a wee bit of luck here and there, we can turn the corner. And we did it. The last game of February, we scrambled a victory. It was possibly one of the worst games that we could have played against Gillingham. We did nothing in the game. Delightfully, they did nothing in the match. And just when the referee was about to blow it up, their centre half and goalkeeper ran into each other, and Tim Langford gleefully stuck it into an empty net. It was 3 points, and our season had started again.
Ringing the Blues brings you exclusive news that Martin O'Neill has brought Simon Garner to Wycombe, the former record scorer from Blackburn Rovers, who has joined from West Bromwich Albion. And a fee of £70,000 has tempted Northampton Town to part with midfielder Steve Brown. But bad news comes with confirmation that...
If we couldn't get the height, the strength up front, then we're going to have to try and play with a bit of guile. And Simon Garner, I played against Simon in his career. He's not that much younger than me anyway. He was having a pretty torrid time at West Brom. I'd seen him a few times since he played against us in the FA Cup, always in the reserves at West Brom. And I thought, yeah, it's worthwhile taking on. He might just give us the bit of craft, guile and experience. As it turns out, it was terrific, you know. But you're not to know these things at the time. I think that overall, Steve Brown possibly be disappointed with the way the season has gone. But he's plenty to prove. He's plenty to prove to himself, a bit to prove to me, and more to prove to the Wycombe supporters that he can definitely do the job. I'm hoping that it will come.
Rush. Now, danger here for Wycombe! And Pascoe, I think, has scored it! Off the line, but in! Now, Langford. It's there! And Simon Garner has scored his first goal for Wycombe. Good cross too. Torby, has it got in? Pascoe, I think, got it.
That night that we played Swansea in the first game, it wasn't their strongest side of the season, and we suffered accordingly. Lost the game, and their third goal perhaps put it beyond reach. As it turns out, it did do, because even when we beat them down here, it wasn't enough. We won 1-0 and went out on the extra goal. But we'd given it our best shot. We'd gone so very, very close. That was a big disappointment, actually, to us. But it was interspersed with a few terrific league results. We'd had the lads had gone away on a 4-day break to Portugal, and I was delighted about that, because you always know, the feeling is that if the results are not there beforehand and they're not there afterwards, the outsider will say, well, why should they be away on a break at all? But we managed to win against Colchester, our big rivals. Great win that day. Beat them at Colchester, so that exorcised any sort of ghost that had been there beforehand. The lads went away to Portugal. I didn't go myself. I was scrambling around trying to get a few players in, and when we came back, we all met up again, headed up to Doncaster and won that one at Doncaster. Excellent performance. We won 3-0, and we looked at that particular moment as if we're back in course again. unfortunately, fell apart the following Saturday. We played Chesterfield, we lost 1-0, and a game we should never have lost. If ever a side came down, and if John Duncan buys this video, he'll kill me for saying it, if ever a side came down to defend a 0-0 draw and scramble a 1-0 victory, it was them. We had Matt Crosley sent off for a handball on the goal line. Controversial, but I suppose the rules of the game are states that he goes off the field, and we never really recovered. We didn't create an awful lot of chances, in fairness, John, that day, but we lost 1-0 in a game we should have won comfortably. And just suddenly, when the whole season was getting back on track again, bang, knocked down again. I'd heard George Graham saying for a couple of months with Arsenal, they had been winning matches almost on the side. Their performances had been poor. In fact, they were being booed off the field a couple of times at Highbury. I didn't feel so bad after that. If 40,000 are booing George Graham, who's won 2 league championships and endless cup competitions, and they're being booed at Highbury for lack of performance, and they were still involved in the European Cup Winners' Cup, I shouldn't have taken it too badly about being booed against Wigan. But we won against Darlington, and it set us up nicely for the end of the season.
Great news on Ringing the Blues today. 3 Wycombe players have been named by the PFA for the Division 3 side selected by their fellow professionals. Jason Cousins, Terry Evans and Steve Guppy provide more honours for the club in their first season in the Football League.
Particularly the game against Torquay United. They scored in the last minute of the game. I say it was the last minute. Philip Dawn, in all his wisdom, decided to play an extra 7 or 8 minutes. It took him that length of time to book 9 players that particular day. I thought it was a pretty woeful piece of refereeing from one of the top men in the game. And his performance the following week at Wembley, when Aston Villa played Manchester United, where there was just nothing but niggly fouls happening all over the place, and he decided to book absolutely no one in the 90 minutes of play. And I felt that this was a game that we could and should have won. We'd done enough to win it. We had lost. The gods seemed to be against us. The following Monday we went to Rochdale. We drew 2 each. Again, we could and should have won the game, but we were delighted to scramble a last-minute equaliser. And I suppose, coming back in the coach, I felt that things had levelled themselves up over the 2 games. But they hadn't really. I'd have preferred to have won one of the games, lost the other one if that was the case, because we would have had 3 points instead of 2. However, the following Saturday, I wasn't to know it. We played Walsall. We got played off the field by Walsall. We beat them 3-0. A funny old game, as someone once said. And if you had told me then, John, with 5 games left, that we wouldn't win another league game, I would have definitely cut the old throat. We went to Scarborough, and that was a game where we thought, we hoped, we dared hope to get something out of. We didn't do, but put things back in the melting pot. The lucky thing for us in that aspect, that one of our rivals' Crewe was slipping up. We were still in pole position, and we just needed to get a few results ourselves.
Cowell's free kick. Oh, it's gone in! Glenn It's only the 1-goal lead. So tenuous. There is Goodacre. Surely he hasn't given a penalty. Bullymore. Oh, he got so close. But it's 2-2.
In the Scunthorpe game, I thought we were back to our best. I thought we played brilliantly. We were a goal behind in the game. We come roaring back in the second half. Jason Cousins had a fantastic equalising goal for us, 1 each. Then Creaser gives us what looked like victory, and the referee, and dare I say, stepped in and given them a penalty with 4 minutes to go, which I just couldn't believe. And some people actually thought it was a penalty. Well, replays since have suggested otherwise. We dropped 2 points in the game, and it was a vital 2 points.
Victory at Crewe will ensure promotion to the second division in Wycombe's penultimate game of the season. Ringing the Blues will keep...
We went to Crewe. We still, again, remarkably, after all these things, we just had to beat Crewe. We had to try and get a result, or certainly not get beaten by Crewe. 4 points in the last 2 games would still be sufficient. Not to lose to Crewe would be vital. We got off to a desperate start. They scored in the first minute or 2 of the game. We got back in with a fluke equaliser. Again, just when the game was dying, and we looked as if we could see the old 90 minutes in sight, the end of the story, we're playing out time, that type of stuff. We've scored. I think that I would say this, I thought we'd done enough to get something out of the game. However, the result had gone in their direction. And now, for the first time in some weeks, the last result, it was out of our hands. Even if we beat Preston in the game, it didn't matter, or it might not have mattered if Crewe had won theirs. However, the eternal optimist in me felt we'll beat Preston, and that Crewe wouldn't win at Chester. I honestly and genuinely believed that they wouldn't win at Chester. Therefore, as far as I was concerned, promotion was still in our own hands.
Wycombe Wanderers' biggest crowd of the season squeezed into Adams Park yesterday, and most of them came armed. The dream of crowning their first league season with automatic promotion would all depend on what happened 200 miles north in Chester, where if Crewe lost, victory for Wycombe would take them into Division 2. But Preston weren't going to go quietly. Even if they were already guaranteed a playoff place, no side managed by John Beck will ever lack for motivation. Wycombe found that out in the early rugged confrontations. And then in the 10th minute, they found themselves out-muscled at a corner. Paul Hyde stopped the first attempt, but not the second from Ryan Kidd right on the line. And Martin O'Neill's mood wasn't lightened much in the next 25 minutes. For all his side's enterprise and determination, they were missing their chances. Dave Carroll sets up Simon Garner, and then somehow following up, Carroll misses an open goal. But 8 minutes before half-time, Glyn Creaser shuffled his 6'5" frame up for a corner. That was only his second ever goal in the Football League, and with Crewe drawing as well, the slate had been wiped clean for the second half. All Wycombe needed was a favour from Chester and the cool edge in front of goal. But the unfortunate Carroll wasn't going to be the man for the job. And as the minutes ebbed away, Simon Garner couldn't have gone much closer. But not long after, the groans of frustration turned to a silent, sad resignation as the bad news from up north made its way around the ground. And for all those Wycombe fans who heard that Crewe had gone in front, this is how they did it. Ashley Ward's goal with 20 minutes left was worthy of winning any match. Crewe were in front, and whatever Wycombe did, that was going to be good enough for automatic promotion. Back down at Adams Park, all Wycombe had was the consolation prize of a place in the playoffs, beginning with a trip to Carlisle, where their league adventure began last August.
Preston was a big day for us. We drew the game. Again, I know I've been saying this to you almost ad infinitum, that it's a game that we could have won, but we didn't do. The results were there. It didn't really matter, and you wouldn't believe this, John. I was so relieved at the end of all, not to have won the game when I came into the dressing room to find out that Chester had lost to Crewe and that Crewe had gone up in their own merit. And I was so pleased. And to me, if we had gone in and had won our game to find out that Crewe, who had been a goal behind in their particular game, had managed to win that match up there, then I would have, I would have killed everyone in sight. As it turns out, it wasn't to be, and we were into a playoff situation. I suppose we would all have settled for that at the beginning of the season. But because we had been in the top 4 or 5 for so long, it was a bit disappointing. The fact that we had to pick ourselves up again wasn't going to be too difficult, I didn't think. And to take our minds off things, we had a 5-a-side competition to look forward to.
We are live at Wembley Arena with Sky TV, the Evening Standard, 5-a-sides for 1994. And now, for the first time, ladies and gentlemen, in the history of the London Fives, give them a massive welcome, Wycombe Wanderers! Chuck Muzadik, Jason Cousins, David Carroll, Mark West, Steve Brown. On the bench, David Titterton and Tim Langford. The team from down the M40, Wycombe Wanderers! And now, we're all going to give them a monster cheer this weekend. The whole of London will be rooting for them at Wembley against Man U. FA Cup finalists, Chelsea!
Dave Carroll, 5 seconds now to beat Nick Colgan, and Colgan is beaten. 1-0 to Wycombe. Almost got his body behind that one. The arm just snaked out. Yeah. And that means that Graham Rix must score because it's a sudden death shootout. Now, Graham Rix, you might recall, missed the penalty in somewhat more pressurised circumstances in the Commonwealth Cup final of 1980. Here he is in the shootout again. And it's saved! Chelsea go out! And 3rd Division Wycombe have a notable scout tonight.
Well, Graham will be disappointed there. He tried to nutmeg the keeper, I think. He's done everything right apart from sticking it through his legs. He's just got a little touch here, I think. Yeah, he's tried the nutmegs. And it was right, but the keeper just got his big backside down to stop it. Rich will be disappointed. Take a little bit of stick off the lads, but they did all right, the young lads.
Chuck Musadik then, the goalkeeper, with the save that sends Wycombe through into the next round. They won 1-0 on the shootout. Goalless it was in normal time. The team's out then for the final quarter-final of the evening. Wycombe against Queen's Park Rangers. Wycombe lining up as they did at the start of the first game. Chuck Musadik in goal, Jason Cousins, Dave Carroll, Mark West and Steve Brown, their starting 5.
Looking for some serious noise now.
And QPR start with Tony Roberts, Clive Wilson, Rufus Brevitt, Trevor Sinclair and Bradley Allen. Martin O'Neill rallying the troops. They're leaving Mark West up, virtually goal hanging on the edge of the D. Wycombe, and here he is now, trying to go past Brevitt.
I think that's where Peter Osgood and I would be these days, goal angling.
Here he is again. He's got Brown making a run for him. Now he finds him. Yes! 1-0 to Wycombe. Beautifully crafted goal. And taken well by Steve Brown.
Lovely goal, great football ability there to turn, roll it through, and there's the goalkeeper opening his legs, and Mr. Brown, ex-Northampton, saying thank you very much, and all these Wycombe Wanderers fans in front of us, highly delighted.
Mike Marsh. Well, there's no fluke about them being in there, Julian. Let's be fair, they play some good, solid football. You know, they've taken on Chelsea, right, one of a strong Chelsea side, but then they took QPR, who I thought was a very, very good side, and they beat them quite comfortably in the end. And
Trevor Morley with a rocket of a shot, and Chuck Musadik is down to save it. He's had a great night.
Yes, a super shot here. Look at this. Oh, it's gone through the lad's legs as well. That makes the save even better.
Still no goals then. West Ham against Wycombe in the semi-final. Down for Cousins. Good save, Ian Farr. Earns his corner again. He's a big, tall goalkeeper, and he got right down to the surface as the half-time whistle blows.
He gets a reflection, deflection here, you see as well. Look, he's going, and all of a sudden he gets a deflection. Makes the save even greater. As you say, for a big man, tremendous the way he got down to that. Couldn't have seen it till late.
Mark West back into Cousins. He was in the area. Then was he not? Oh, the goal has been given. And Wycombe lead in the semi-finals. West Ham might well say he was in the area.
Certainly looked like it to me. Yes, I would definitely say that was in the area. No doubt about that. I'm surprised the ref, because he was right there as well.
Well, they say you need a bit of luck to win a cup. They've had a bit of a stroke, I think. Because Wycombe, the third division side, lead West Ham of the Premiership by a goal to nil. They've already beaten Chelsea in a shootout. They've beaten QPR. They go for their third top-flight scalp of the night. And Wycombe will meet Wimbledon in the final if it stays like this. He's got his team so well organised for this one. He's got his tactics well sorted out as Matthew Rush tries to wreck him. But the keeper was down again. Mutsadik with a safe save. And that's it. The whistle blows. Wycombe have knocked out West Ham by a goal to nil. Mark West got it. A triumph for Martin O'Neill for his tactics and his team's hard work.
They've done it the hard way. They're in the final in their very first appearance in the London Fives. Please give a massive welcome to the Wanderers of Wycombe. And it's Chuck Buzanik. It's Jason Cousins. Dave Carroll. It's Mark West. Steve Brown. David Tillotson. And Tim Langford. It's Wycombe. It's Wimbledon. It's the final of the Fives. And there's 10 minutes away from the big money.
And Vinny's here. And Sam's here as well. And Martin O'Neill, who never played for a London club, he says this is all new to him. Really enjoying the night. And why wouldn't he? It's Wimbledon against Wycombe Wanderers. £10,000 to the winners, £6,000 to the runners-up. Referee for the final is Calvin Wharton from Bury St Edmunds. Wycombe Wanderers, if you need the identification by now, in the two-tone blue quartered shirts. Traditional colours based on their background. And they used to have Oxford and Cambridge University players playing for them. This is Robbie Earle early on. And the reserve goalkeeper at Adams Park, Musadic's done very well tonight. And it's going to be Dave Carroll first. And suddenly, Martin O'Neill looking very intent and interested. They'd swap this, I'm sure, for getting through in the playoffs. But now here's Carroll. No. He's foiled by Neil Sullivan, a young man who's come back from a broken leg this year. Now, this puts the pressure on because this is Stuart Castledine, who has already got a couple in shootouts tonight earlier in the competition. If he scores, Wimbledon have won it. He's only got 5 seconds, and he's put that one over anyway, and the whistle had gone. It wouldn't have counted if he put in the rebound because the whistle went before he hit it.
No, that's right. That's the first time I've seen somebody try to go around the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's going to smother, we all know that, and he's just gone to drag it, and he just didn't drag it quite enough. He could have took another touch on there, Ian, and he had an open goal. Look, he could have took another touch again with his left foot. The keeper couldn't have come back from that.
Cousins for Wycombe has done it. Jason Cousins puts that away emphatically. Well,
see, he's not let the keeper get too close to him here, look. So he's hit it right underneath him, look, before he can come out and smother it. Well taken. Super. Deserves it, that lad, Cousins, as well.
He was the best player during normal time, I thought.
Super.
So Elkins has got to do this. He hasn't done it. And Wycombe Wanderers, in their first season in league football, have won the Evening Standard London five-a-sides, and don't tell them that it doesn't mean a thing. Look at that.
They've certainly come here to enjoy themselves. They've given great entertainment. And I tell you what, you know, he's talking about the underdogs coming and winning tonight, but tremendous. I'm pleased for Martin. I'm pleased for all the fans that are still here at Wycombe. And you can see there's plenty of them. And the players were tremendous. Well played, Wycombe.
Lots of fans have travelled down the M40 to support Wycombe Wanderers. And this is how it went wrong, first of all, for Wycombe Wanderers, for Wimbledon with Gary Alkins. Well done, look at that. That's the spirit. Vinnie Jones and Martin O'Neill. £10,000
yes,
for Wycombe Wanderers.
Marvellous, absolutely brilliant. Let's hope they get a little holiday or something out of it. They certainly deserve it after they finish the playoffs.
Well, it'll pay for a few beers.
It certainly will, yes.
There are not many packets of crisps here at Wembley Arena. They cost 70p each. That's the last packet I buy.
Oh, right.
Martin O'Neill, many congratulations. 40-1 outsiders we hear.
40-1, yes. I think a couple of the lads have backed themselves as well too. I'm absolutely delighted. I don't care what odds we were. Obviously, first time ever in the competition. Magnificent effort by us. All we were hoping to try and get through, I suppose, really, was to get into the second round so you would ask us back again, you know? But we're absolutely thrilled.
What a story this is, and I'm sure this will be splashed over the back page of the Standard tomorrow. First time ever in the London five-a-side championships for the Evening Standard, a cheque for £10,000, and this historic five-a-side football championship trophy goes to the Wanderers of Wycombe. And we also say good luck in the playoffs, lads, as well.
Chuck Musovic gets a lot of stick. That was his night, wasn't it?
That was his night. There'll never be another night like that. He could play to his 1,010, and he'll never have another night like that. And you know the funny thing about it, despite the abuse that I can give to him verbally, and occasionally physically when he annoys me, and the amount of stick that he can take among the players, everyone was absolutely delighted for him, especially for him. In fact, so much so that his mate Hackey, Redden, he was actually crying for him. He was so pleased, and it was a great night. And honestly, for the first time out, I was so pleased for him. It couldn't actually have happened to an uglier geek.